There are coins that clink in your pocket and fade with time, and then there are coins, like the 1940 Jefferson Nickel. A coin that refuses to be forgotten. A coin whose story is carved into the very framework of American history and economic resilience. The 1940 Jefferson Nickel was more than a 5-cent piece. It was a quiet symbol of a nation transitioning through one of its most turbulent decades, emerging from the Great Depression and unknowingly walking into the fires of the Second World War. This nickel was born at a time when the United States Mint was evolving, when industrial precision was meeting the ideals of national identity, and when American coin design began to mature into a powerful medium for storytelling, crafted with the image of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his beloved Monticello on the reverse. The coin symbolized not only the legacy of a founding father, but also the vision of a nation rooted in liberty and enduring governance. The minting of the 1940 Jefferson Nickel involved more than machines and metal. It was a deliberate act of national expression sculpted by artist Felix Schlag, whose design would define the nickel for generations despite fierce competition and design challenges. Schlag's work was chosen to represent one of the most respected minds in American history, and yet what most collectors never realize is that the real story of the 1940 nickel is not just about its physical form, but about the events surrounding its creation. The politics that influenced its production, the secrets buried in its die varieties, and the powerful role it played in post-depression. American confidence. This coin was struck in 3 different mints, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco each, with distinct characteristics, different strike qualities, metal compositions, mint mark placements, and errors that now fetch thousands of dollars on the collector's market today, with sharp-edged collectors and numismatists always on the hunt for full steps, varieties doubled, dies off-center, strikes, or Warrera planchette anomalies. The 1940 Jefferson Nickel holds a place in the pantheon of valuable historical coins. It is a specimen that tells us how coins can become time capsules carrying messages from one era to another, speaking silently through patina and metal flow lines. This coin is a survivor of history, from being passed hand to hand during gas rationing, during Pearl Harbor anxieties, during breadline recoveries, and into the cash registers of a booming post-war America. It tells a story that no textbook or documentary can fully capture. This is not just the story of a coin, it is the story of American strength, ambition, transition, and artistry. The 1940 Jefferson Nickel was there in denim pockets and war chests, in milk bottles and veterans' coin jars. It's the coin that saw America at the edge of global transformation, and yet stayed humble in its 5-cent worth while hiding incredible value for collectors. 70, 80, and now over 80 years later today, we're going to take you on a journey that dissects everything from the political ideology behind Jefferson's portrait to the metallurgical composition, changes, and mint. Economics of 1940. We'll analyze known varieties, talk about the rarest specimens, show you where millions are hiding in plain sight, and why this one simple coin is now being talked about in auction houses among the giants of numismatics. This is not a history lesson. This is a revealing documentary. This is not a review. This is a resurrection of history. Welcome to BBC Coins, where every coin has a voice. And today, that voice belongs to the 1940 Jefferson Nickel, a coin that proves even 5 cents can be priceless. When its past is this powerful, the year was 1940, and the United States stood at a crossroads. The Great Depression had eased its grip, but the scars it left were visible on every factory floor and every neighborhood block. America was slowly rebuilding its confidence, its economy, and its vision of the future. And at the heart of this reconstruction effort, in the most unexpected place, was a 5-cent coin, one that bore the face of one of the most revered founding fathers. The 1940 Jefferson Nickel was more than just another addition to circulating currency. It was the quiet continuation of a numismatic revolution that began just 2 years earlier in 1938, and it came to symbolize national pride, industrial precision, and a timeless connection to the American legacy. The story of the 1940 Jefferson Nickel is a story of America itself. To understand its significance, we must go back to the circumstances that brought it to life prior to 1938. The nickel featured the Native American profile, known as the Buffalo nickel, a beloved design, yet one that posed tremendous difficulties during minting production issues, including die wear and weak strikes led the U.S. Mint to call for a replacement, the new design competition was launched with strict requirements, and one name rose above the rest: Felix Schlag, a German immigrant artist who dared to reshape America's coinage future. His design was chosen, but not without criticism, as his original Monticello depiction was rejected and required revision before approval. What emerged was a powerful balance between neoclassical architecture and strong presidential portraiture. By 1940, the Jefferson Nickel had cemented its role as a staple of American coinage, and yet this particular year carries weight for multiple reasons. Politically, the nation was still grappling with its policy of neutrality. Even as World War II had erupted in Europe militarily, tensions were rising, and financially the mint was preparing for shifts in metal usage that would soon be necessary during wartime. But in 1940, the composition was still copper and nickel, and it was a year of immense production. Over 176 million nickels were struck in Philadelphia, over 43 million in Denver, and nearly 40 million in San Francisco. These massive mintages make the 1940 Jefferson Nickel seem common, but within these millions hide rarities, secrets, and varieties that make collectors' hearts race. Let's take a closer look at the physical attributes of the 1940 Jefferson Nickel. The obverse features a sharp left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the author of the Declaration of Independence, a man whose ideals still echo through the American experiment. Surrounding his image are the inscriptions: "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the date 1940. The reverse presents Monticello Jefferson's famed Virginia estate with the inscriptions "E Pluribus Unum," Monticello, 5 cents, and United States of America. These design elements have remained surprisingly consistent across decades, but what makes 1940 special lies in the dies, the errors, and the full step varieties. Collectors today know the term "full steps" as a mark of quality and rarity, referring to the clear visibility of the steps on the Monticello image. On the reverse coin, this level of detail is notoriously hard to achieve due to striking pressure, die polish, and planchette quality only a small percentage of Jefferson nickels from 1940 possess this hallmark, making them significantly more valuable coins from the Philadelphia Mint, especially with full steps command premium prices at auctions and grading houses, while San Francisco strikes are notably weaker and scarcer in pristine condition. But it is not just the full steps that define the 1940 nickel error. Varieties such as doubled dies, repunched mint marks, and die cracks also exist and are hotly pursued by specialists. Among the most fascinating pieces are the 1940 D over D repunched mint mark coins, where the Denver Mint was struck more than once, creating a shadowed effect under magnification. There are also misaligned, dies off-center, strikes, and even planchette errors, where the coin was struck on an underweight or foreign blank. All of these add value and intrigue, and make the act of hunting 1940 Jefferson nickels more than a hobby. It becomes an obsession for some, and a lucrative pursuit for others. But we must also understand the historical backdrop against which this coin circulated in 1940. Families were still feeling the echoes of economic collapse, yet they were buying more cars, radios, newspapers, and new homes. Coinage played a central role in commerce. The 5-cent coin purchased a glass of milk, a loaf of bread, or a train fare, and this very nickel exchanged hands in stores, theaters, and factories across the country, from Harlem to Hollywood. From rural Missouri to Manhattan, the 1940 nickel bore witness to the beginnings of social change, cultural expansion, and military preparation. Its quiet circulation connected millions of Americans in unseen ways. As the world marched closer to global war, this coin would become part of wartime economies. Within just 2 years, its composition would shift from nickel and copper to a silver alloy to support the war effort, but the 1940 issue stands as the last of its kind. Before drastic changes arrived in alloy and appearance, it's a relic of the pre-war era, a snapshot of American innocence and preparation before the storm-even decades. Later, the 1940 Jefferson Nickel continues to gain attention in the numismatic world. Auction prices for top-graded examples, especially with full steps, range into the thousands of dollars, and a steady stream of newly discovered varieties keeps the coin relevant in the eyes of collectors today. Numismatic scholars examine these coins not just for monetary worth, but for what they represent: a moment in time where art, economy, and politics collided in the smallest yet most powerful of forms. As You search through your change jars, your grandfather's drawers, or estate sale boxes. You might be holding onto a piece of silent history that has outlived war, depression, and generations of families. This coin was not made to be special, but it became legendary because of the time it represents. Chat GPT.